I just went to the Rosa Parks Museum in Montgomery yesterday, and while I was with a group of people. It was actually on a field trip with my son. While we were watching the story of what exactly happened, like the reenactment, I got emotional. I started to feel tears come to my eyes, and just seeing her sit there, and the white bus driver came up to her and was demanding her to get up out of her seat. Just how inhumane that was, how inhumane society was, the world was, just how unconscious so many people were that this was just normalized, to just dehumanize people, disrespect people based on the color of their skin. And she sat there and just said no. She used her voice. And I'm sure that had to be terrifying. I'm sure that had to be really intimidating in that situation. And she didn't yell, she didn't scream. She just said no, firmly, strongly, confidently. And that started to bring tears to my eyes. And I felt kind of embarrassed because I didn't feel like anyone else, I mean, I could be wrong, that's just an assumption, but I feel like I was getting more emotional than the people around me. I feel like I'm really empathetic and sensitive, and I was really getting into this experience, and watching that just brought tears to my eyes, because it kind of made me relate to my own life, how a lot of times I look around at people around me, and I feel like a lot of people are really unconscious in a lot of ways. And I am conscious in a lot of ways that other people are not. And that can be very lonely feeling a lot. And sometimes I start to question my sanity. But Rosa Parks, people thought she was insane for doing what she was doing. But the world around her was insane for doing what they were doing. And I kind of feel like that a lot in life. Because I'm different, because I'm more empathetic, I'm more emotional, sensitive, compassionate, loving, forgiving. The vast majority of people I meet are not that way, including people I know very personally don't resonate. And it made me realize, we went through a lot of evolution. We had slaves, and that was just completely normal. They had collars that they would put around their human being slaves' necks. They were their property. And that was just normal. We were all in this survival mode. We were all living in our lower nature, and materials, I guess, were scarce, and I guess everyone did what they had to do at the time. But as we started to evolve, we started to not be so in such desperation, as we started to invent electricity and all that stuff. And Rosa Parks was a big start of the civil rights movement. And people started to wake up and realize, hey, I'm no different than you. I pay money on this bus just like everyone else. Why do I have to get up and move to the back of the bus? Because there's white people here on the bus. It didn't sit right in her spirit. She knew that we're both the same. We're both living, we're both breathing, we're both paying money to be here. And you're treating me like I don't matter. Like I'm not a human being. And so I'm sure other people also probably felt that way. Even some white people probably felt that way and saw that something was wrong with that. We were collectively starting to wake up. And then it took someone speaking their truth and standing up to the system. And I don't even think the system, the vast majority of people, knew why they were doing it. They just do what they're told and just follow along. But obviously with the civil rights movement and all the changes that took place with that for women and racial equality, that we realized how unconscious everyone was, that there is this like collective evolution of consciousness happening, and it's been happening and it's still happening. And I just want to let you know, if you're like me and you don't feel like you fit in with the vast majority, you never have, even your family members, like, you just know that you look at things different and you feel things deeply, and you've been told like that there's a problem with you for that you're the outcast, you're the different one, you're the problem. But you know in your heart of hearts that all the stuff around you is a problem, just like Rosa Parks knew that was a problem. And I think collectively now we all agree there was a problem, but not everyone saw that at the time. So it takes people who are awake in a world that is sleeping to make a change, to be the change, to use your voice, to speak your truth, to be authentic. You know, don't let fear prevent you from doing what you're here to do, for speaking your truth, for standing up for yourself and others. You know, like, don't dull yourself down to match the energy around you. Don't do that anymore. If you're awake and you know it, like, because for a long time I would question, like, am I crazy? Because obviously to a bunch of people who are all doing the same thing, if I'm doing something different and thinking different, obviously I appear to be the outcast. I appear to be the crazy one. But in actuality, that's not the case. And obviously there's a time and place to speak and to do, and there's a place to speak your truth. There's a time, because not everyone's going to understand. That's okay. I wouldn't want everyone to understand me with the stuff I see going on in the world and all around me. I don't want to resonate with everyone. I don't want to be liked by everyone. I don't need anyone's validation. Like, Jesus Christ was a person without sin, and the world crucified him. How can I want the world's validation? Rosa Parks didn't care about getting anyone's validation. She stood up for what was right. Fearlessly. Non-violently. Confidently. That experience, that museum, that really spoke to me. That really touched my heart. It really let me see that it's okay to not fit in. It's a blessing to not fit in. If the reason you don't fit in is because you have big ideas and a lot of depth and a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy, a lot of insight, a lot of yearning to better yourself and to constantly be practicing self-awareness and constantly be in a state of growth and progress and change, I would never trade that for being like the vast majority. Because honestly, the vast majority of people are not happy. They are not happy with themselves. They're not happy. They're not kind to others. They're not kind to themselves. So it can be lonely. It can, you know. But I would much rather separate myself from what's not good for me, even if that's almost everyone I come into contact with, and save myself for those who resonate. You know? The people out there who will understand you and who will love your depth, who will crave your depth, who can carry conversations with you, who can, like scratch that itch that you have that nobody else gets. It's worth it. It's going to be worth it. There is a soul tribe for you. And it's okay if you have like one friend. And if you don't have any friends, that's okay too. They are on the way. It's better to be selective. Like, pick quality over quantity. It's okay. And I know it can be really hard, especially when it's like your family. If you were born into a family that's unconscious and you, for some reason, like, I've been trying to convince myself, like, I have the same DNA, genetics, the environmental upbringing. But you know what? You know what's really cool? Is genetics and your environmental upbringing do not define you. They don't. They can influence you. They can, explain some of your mannerisms or like how you look or how you talk. But ultimately, none of that defines you. You define you. Your soul is infinite, and the part of you that is physicality, that is particle rather than wave, is like such a tiny little amount. The majority of you is wave, is invisible, is eternal. It has nothing to do with the little tiny part of you that is physical. So your genetic makeup and your environmental factors, your upbringing, do not define you. Your past does not define you. Your mistakes do not define you. You're allowed to be different. Accept it. Embrace it. Love it. Cherish it. Honor it. It's a blessing. It is a blessing. So stop rejecting yourself because of that. Embrace yourself because of that. Shine your light because of it. Because that light you shine, like Rosa Parks on that bus, look at the change she made. She has a museum. She has statues. She started the civil rights movement. Look at how much better the world is today than how it was. I'm not saying it's perfect by any means, but I think it's normal. If back then a lot of people were unconscious and a few were waking up and they had to wake the others up, that's kind of what's happening now in other ways. So just go with it. Look at the bright side of it. Because if you're not like everyone else, you're not going to end up at the same destination as everyone else. You're here for greater things. You're here to do big things. Wonderful things. Even if everyone you love that you've known your whole life rejects you and makes you feel like you're not good enough or you're too much, that's just them projecting their own feelings and insecurities about themselves onto you, even if it's your family. And I know that hurts, and I know that's hard, and I know you would think it might be better if your family understood you, but it's okay if they don't. Embrace it. Be the black sheep. Be the rainbow unicorn. Show them what's possible. Forgive them. Love them anyway, but respect yourself. Set boundaries. Do what you need to do. Be like Rosa Parks. Use that voice. She said what needed to be said.